Yeah, so yesterday we have discussed about the basic report, right? So we have created a standard report and then where we can see data. But now here, so am I able to check data for only specific countries here? So if I want to filter out only Australia data, I don't want to look all the countries data in the report. So I specifically want to check only Australia data. How can we check it, right? So the standard way which you know is you need to filter out the data set code here, right? But if you straight away if you give here where country name equals to Australia, it will fetch only Australia into the report. But next time user want to select Germany data, then it is not possible, right? If you change the data set code to hard code the values. So for that, we'll create a parameters and then we'll give access to the user or report user whoever wanted to access the report. So straight away they can directly give the report value and then they can select the value and then click on view report so that it will display the data for only specific country which the user has selected, right? So let's check that. So that kind of report will call it as a parameterized report, which means we'll pass a parameter to the report and based on the parameter value, the report data will be displayed, right? So let me create a new report. So guys, I'll just copy the same report and then paste it here. And but when you are practicing it, so try to create from the scratch. From the scratch means add a new item and then create data source and data set. Do it again all the formatting and all so that you will get used to the SSRS design options, right? So don't copy and paste like I'm doing it now. So I'm just copying the same RDL and pasting it, which means it will copy the same design and also the data source and data set code. All right. So I don't want to waste time again doing all the same repetitive work. But when you are doing it, try to add a new RDL and then create the data source data set again from the scratch. Okay. So here I'm just changing the report name. So once I copy pasted the previous RDL and this one parameterized report. Okay, my report name is parameterized report, right? So here the data set, the data source are same like the previous basic report what I have copied, right? So now I want to pass a parameter for this data set code on the report, right? So to pass a parameter, first thing we need to pass it to the SQL code here, right? So if I execute, I can get all the data. So if I want to restrict only specific country, so what I should do in the select in the data set code, I need to use where clause filter on country, right? Where English country region name. So should I give equals to or in, guys? What option I have to give?
I think.
See, that depends on the parameter selection, right? If you want to select only one value, then equals to is fine. If you want to select multiple, in is required. So for now, I want to select only one. So I'm just using equals to. Let's see if you want to choose multiple options, what we need to do. Okay. So I'm just choosing equals to here, which means it will accept only one value. So I'm copying and pasting, overwriting the existing data set code. Now, if you observe here, the parameters, there is no parameters created. So now we have created a parameter in SQL Server with where clause filter. And now what happens, the same parameter, it will create automatically here. Refresh fields, go to fields. All of our fields are showing fine. So if you click on OK, see, we can see there is a parameter created with the name country. Okay. So save it. Now, if you open country parameter, if you double click on it, you can see the name and then prompt. This prompt is nothing but see whatever the name which you want to display while previewing the report here. See here, the name is appearing, right? So that is nothing but prompt here. So if you want to change the name of the variable in the preview, name of the parameter, you have to rename it here. Okay, that is the prompt. And then data type. So what data type the variable is holding. But since it is country name, so it is a text, leave it as it is. If it is date and some other data types, you need to change accordingly, integer, float, right? So since you are using only the text, let it be text. So rest all options I'll tell you. And then here, just remember the available of values and then default values. Okay, these two options I'll tell you later. And so that's it, click on OK. So if you go to preview, see what it is returning once you preview it, it is asking for the country name, right? So we need to type it. Since it is a text box, we need to type it, Australia. See, I can see only Australia related data here, right? I cannot see any other. So let's say I want to type Germany. Zero records. Why? The spelling mistake, right? So do you think providing a text box, empty text box for the user is benefited, or is it useful? Or it's better to provide whatever the values it is there for the user to select, and then ask the user to select at the available values. That will be better, right? Instead of providing the empty text box. So we will only give the option to select the user. So whatever the available values which we have in the table, so we'll display here, and then out of that we can choose value, right? So how to achieve that is, as of now this is empty parameter, right? So we'll try to pass values to the parameter, right? So to pass value to the parameter, how, from where we need to get it, guys? From where we have to get the values to the parameter? From the table only, right? So from the table which we are calling here, we need to choose the distinct English country region names, right? So can we directly pass values here in the country name parameter? We cannot pass. So we need to create again the data set. So you all know, right? So data set is nothing but querying the database tables, right? So if you want to retrieve distinct country names, you need to write one more dataset code. So select, why I'm using distinct is it will eliminate the duplicates. Okay. So distinct English country region names from this table. So this is my another dataset code, which will retrieve only the distinct country names. Okay. So I'm copying the code and I can create one more dataset here. Right click, add dataset, choose the data source and then paste your query. So change the dataset name, which is ds underscore country name, which will identify easily, right? Country name. By looking at the naming conventions, we get to know that, okay, this dataset code is for fetching the country names. Refresh fields, go to fields, you can see the field which you are retrieving, click on OK. So you can see there is one more dataset has been created. Now we need to assign this dataset value of English country region name to parameter, right? To get it display here in the parameter value when you preview it, right? So for that, you have to open the parameter, double click on it, and then you can see two options here, available values and then default values, right? So available values, if you click on available values, it is nothing but whatever the value is available for the parameter through table, we can pass it here, right? Which means it will allow the user to select it and it will give the value to the users, the available values in the sense, right? So there are three radio buttons here. This will be called as a radio buttons, and then by default it is none, which means no available values we are passing to this parameter. And then the second option is specify values, which means we can add manually, like Australia and all, something like this. This is the label, and then here we need to pass the Australia value, right? So do you think if there are 10 values, we need to pass 10 values here? No. That's the reason why we have created a data set. So for that, you need to use an option called get values from a query. And then here it is asking the data set. What is my data set for English country region name? It is country name, and then value field, country region name, label field also country region name. This is the only one field we are fetching it from the data set. So I'm selecting it. That's it. And click on OK. Right. So I have passed the available values. So let's see how our parameter will behave now. See, instead of text box, it has changed to the drop down. So can you get to know that what are available values? So it is allowing us to view the available values for selection. So we can select out of the available values here, right? So now if I want to view only Australia, I can view it. I can select and then click on view report. Okay. And if I want to view UK, I can select United Kingdom, click on view report. Now it is displaying the UK data. See. And then if you want to view any other country like Germany, I can choose and click on view report. Okay. So now if the user want to view multiple records, if he wants to select multiple records, then but as of now, as per my current selection, I cannot, right? So let's say by default, see, when I preview it, it is not displaying any data here, right? So do you think this is better, or by default the data should display for all the countries will be better, right? So we'll decide that. So before that, I want to allow multiple values. I want to choose multiple values here in the selection. So for that, what you need to do is go to design, double click on the country parameter, and there is a checkbox here, allow multiple values, right? So click on that. So that it will allow us to select the multiple values. Click on OK. Go to preview. See, now you can see the text boxes, square box, where we can select multiple values, right? So here I have choose 3 values. If I click on view report, do you think it will allow us to view the data? If it is not, what do you think the issue is? What is the issue, guys? Can you all read out and tell me? What do you think the issue might be? No guess. How many values we are passing from parameter?
We are passing. We gave only one value, but here we are selecting multiple, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the query, we give only one value equals to.
Yeah,
That's
correct. So we have given equals to in the dataset code, but here we are trying to pass multiple values. So to allow multiple values, what we need to do? We need to change. Where we need to change the main dataset code. This is the main dataset code, and these are the sub datasets. So we need to change the main dataset code to use in instead of equals to,
in,
right?
in.
So in will allow multiple values. So when you use in, so try to give the parameter within the brackets. Okay. So refresh fields, everything is fine. Save it. Now preview it. If you choose multiple countries also, it should display now. Can you see Australia data is visible now? And if I scroll down, Canada is there. and one more is France, right? So all of my 3 selected country information, I can see it here, right? And if you want to choose all also, I can choose it and click on view report. Now I can see all the country related data here, right? So, and one more issue here is when you preview it, so the report is blank. So being a business user, do you expect the report will be blank when you want to view the report? Which one will be better? Giving a blank
No.
will be better, or providing all the value data once you preview it and then giving access to choose out of which countries they wanted? That will be better, right? So by default, we should display the data for all the countries, right? And then whatever the country which the user want to select, then they can select it, right? So to display all the country related information by default when you choose it, how you need to achieve is, so you need to pass the default values here. That is the purpose of default values. Available values is used to list the values for the user to select it, and then default values is by default what values you need to display for the report. So I'll use the same data set here. All the values I want to display defaultly. That is the reason why I'll point the same data set code, which is ds underscore country name, right? So by default, all the country data will be displayed. So I have chosen default values. If I click on preview, you can see. If you drop down the filter, you can see all the filters are highlighted, which means the default values I have selected for all the countries. Okay. And user want to select only few out of them, they can uncheck it and then they can choose whatever the country they wanted to view. Clear, guys? Everybody clear? This is a
Bro, what about the data sets? If you want to take 3 to 4 data sets at a time,
we can. If you want to insert 3 to 4 here, the tab says.
yes,
You can do it. You can drag one more here and you can use it. Insert table and then you can point the data, right? If you want to create multiple data sets, the multiple data sets data can be pointed here. Okay.
Amar, I have one doubt. So, for example, I want to select from Australia, and that means based on the country as well as the city. Then how to select that?
You have to tell me how to select it.
We are having option to give only country name only. So like that, we are able to add one more column.
One more, not column, that is a parameter, right? One more filter. So we need to add filter in the data.
Yeah.
Right. So that we are gonna see. See, guys, here we are able to see only now country parameter. So if you want to use state and city, then you need to add that, right? So let me add country and city, also state and city as well. Okay, for this main data set code, and state province name. Why I'm using and it should match, right? So that is the reason why. So straight away I'm using in here. Okay, @ state name. Okay, and then
you want to change that city name, your city name also.
Sorry, you want to give city
You
as
want
well?
to change our country name near in. You are giving equals to now.
Oh, that I'll change it, yeah. And then if you want to give city also, you can give it here. So for now, we'll just give state and then we'll come back to city later. Okay. So I'm updating my dataset code. Now it will create one more parameter, which is state. As of now, it is not there. So you need to overwrite the main dataset code, not the country dataset code. Okay. So main dataset code, you overwritten it, and then it is asking few values. So is there any syntax error here? See, we did not use the variable within the brackets, right? So refresh fields, now it is not asking that. So if that is coming asking the parameter values, then something syntax error in our code, that means. Okay, so it is fine. Click on OK. Now you can see state name parameter also added, right? So now what we need to do, we need to pass same available values and default values for state name as well, right? So I don't need to explain you again for why we need to add it. So if I preview it, I can see state name is blank, right? So for that I should add default value and then available values for state name. So what we need to do, again, we have to create one more data set code for state name, right? So let's do that. State province name. I'm creating one more data set code. Right click, add data set. Use the data set embedded in my report. Choose the data source. Paste the data set query, which is distinct state province names. And then I'm gonna give my data set name as ds underscore state. Okay, go to fields, it is displaying, so my syntax is correct. I'll go to state now, and then state name I want to keep it as it is, and then allow multiple values, which will select the multiple values, and then available values is nothing but it will give the user to select the available values from the table, right? And then default values, by default all the state names will get displayed in the report, right? So I'm choosing those two values and then click on OK, right? So when I preview the report now, can you see data is displaying for all the countries and also all the states, right? So now if I want to choose a country called Australia, okay, I have selected, and if I click on view report, what's happening here? Australia is displaying. Right, but here Australia is displaying. Okay, and I'll also use Canada, or instead of Canada, maybe let me use United States. Okay, view report. I don't want to view Canada. See here Australia and then United States information is getting displayed. But if I want to choose only specific states here now, okay, so if you drop down, you can see other countries. See England also you can see here. England is related to United Kingdom, right? But you can see England as well here. So this is the proper report, and Colorado is also there. I think it is in Canada, I guess, right? Let's say if I choose only Australia now, view report. But here when I want to choose only state names, I can see all the names. Alabama, which belongs to US. Arizona also belongs to US. But I should not see the US related countries. I should see only Australia related states here. Correct? Will this be a problem or not, guys? When I choose Australia,
Yeah, definitely problem.
Only Australia related states should get displayed here, right? But it is getting displayed all the state related information, right? So to achieve that, we have another option, which is nothing but Cascade parameterized report, right? So Cascade parameterized report is nothing but which will display based on the parameter selection values. If you choose only country, only those country information related data you can see it, or states, right? So to achieve that, I'll just create one more RDL. I'll copy the same RDL, but guys, as I told you, you don't copy it, okay? So try to create from the scratch. Then only you'll get basic command on the SSRS reports. I'll just paste it. And then I'm gonna rename the newly copied report as Cascaded Parameterized report. Okay. And then I'll open that Cascaded Parameterized report. So now what I'm gonna do is, the issue is with normal parameterized report is, when I choose a country called Australia, I should see only those country related states here. But for now I'm seeing other country related states as well, right? So to achieve that, we have a concept called Cascade Parameterized report, which is nothing but, see here, when you are passing value for state name, so which is dependent on the country, right? Agree, guys? See, country is the main parameter.
Yes, agree.
Right? So country is the main parameter. Once you choose country, only that country related states should get display. So where exactly we need to do change for that? So we need to do change for state parameter, right? Correct? So for state, we have to use where clause here. W has been clicked. Okay. Let's wait, guys. I think it will not go off. Yeah. See, in the where clause, we should add the country parameter as well. Okay. So where country name, directly I'm adding in equals to this parameter. Right? Clear, guys, why I'm adding country here? I should select the state names only based on my country selected values. That is what I'm giving a filter for state parameter. Okay. Anyone have doubt with this? Why I'm adding country where clause filter for state dataset code? Why? Because to choose only states which belongs to whatever the country which we have selected, right? So I need to change the state parameter dataset code. Okay. So refresh, options, click on OK. Save, go to preview. Now, if I choose Australia, can you see this is refreshed and you can see only Australia related states you can see. Clear, guys? And you can choose only whatever the state you want to choose. I have chosen Queensland. If I click on view report, you can see only data for Queensland. Now, my requirement is I need to add one more parameter here, which is city for the main dataset code. Okay. I'm allowing access for user to choose city as well. So city in @city, right? So this is for main dataset code. I'm doing a change. I'm adding one more filter, the dataset code. Refresh the fields. I think somewhere I made a mistake. I think here, yeah. Country name. I have to use within the brackets. Refresh fields. Click on OK. You can see city has been created. So now what we need to do? We need to create city dataset code as well. So guys, for giving a city dataset code, what filters we need to use here? Should I directly use this select distinct city, or do I need to give any where clause filters like we used for state name? Tell me fast, guys.
We need to use where class also.
Where clause on which fields?
On city names.
On city name.
On state names.
On state name? Are you sure? I'm just using available values here. Meanwhile, think and tell me, guys. What filter we need to use for city? City is dependent on what?
State name itself, I think.
Okay. So now I'm choosing Australia here. Okay. So I can see Australia states, but when I click on city, I'm able to see only Australia cities or even more also. Even more as well, right? Correct. I can see London as well, Sussex. I can see United States as well. So for city, what do we need to add? What filter we need to add here? Because directly I'm showing it here, right? When I preview it, city is dependent on what?
State. I
It
think
is
so.
dependent on both, right? Country and then state.
State.
See, city will come under state and state will come under country. So city will directly dependent on both state and then city, correct? City, both state and then country.
Yes.
So for the city, we should add both country and then state as well in the where class filter. Okay. Any confusion, guys? I'm adding both state and then country name. State name. For city, right? So if I do this and preview it, I think somewhere mistake.
@state name.
Yeah. Refresh fields, click on OK. So now if I preview it, if I choose Australia, and only Australia data you can see, and here you can see only Australia related cities, Brisbane, right? So if let's say I'll choose only one state, which is Queensland. Now can you see city also is refreshed? Clear? If I choose all, view report, all. Here also, see why it is not coming all. I should do it the allow multiple values. That's the reason why. If you preview it, now you can see all the values. Any questions, guys, with the Cascade parameterized report? Okay, practice it well, and if you have any doubts, let me know tomorrow. Okay, that's it for today. I think I have told enough. And when you are practicing, try to practice from the scratch. These two reports, parameterized and Cascade parameterized.